I don't think there's such a thing as a universal mentor. I think I have different mentors for different areas of life, and different people I can discuss different things with, and I think that's really important. But if I had to pick one, source of inspiration, it would definitely be my mother. She is an incredible woman. She raised 3 children, 2 of them with disabilities. My brother has an intellectual disability and epilepsy. More or less single-handedly, she worked 2-3 jobs at a time in order to do that. And she, one of my fondest memories from childhood, of course it wasn't my fondest memory at the time, it was very embarrassing, but I look back at it and it's really one of my fondest memories was my mother would, every time she saw someone parking in an accessible car park without a permit, would immediately march up to them in her, not very flattering clothing of a weekend, and have a bit of a chat to them. And I'd say, "Oh God, Mum, why do you have to do that?" And she looked at me and she said, "One day you'll know exactly why." And I'm like, okay, I get it. It's, so she was always very intolerant of any inequality, intolerance, injustice. Particularly, she was incredible with my education. She was determined that I was going to get a mainstream education, that I was going to be in a class with my classmates and participate as fully as possible in everything that they did. And in fact, when I was in primary school, the teacher organised an outing to the beach, and of course it's very difficult to push a wheelchair on the beach. So my teacher sat down with my mum and said, "Well, of course you understand why we won't be taking Kelly, and we'll give her extra work to do, and she can stay in the classroom while the other kids go to the beach." Now I have to confess, I'm a little bit of a nerd. And when I say a little bit, I mean like a lot. So I was like, "Ooh, more work, like cool." and my mum was like, "No, no, I don't understand that at all. And let me be very clear: Kelly goes, or no one does." And my mum is not an aggressive person. That was one of the few times in her life, I think, that she's ever made anyone cry. But apparently she did. And again in high school, my school organised an exchange to Europe, which I really wanted to go on. I'm a devout lover of language and learned French and Spanish in school, and really wanted to go. But I went home and I said, "Mum, it's going to be kind of complicated for me to go, isn't it?" So, she said to me, and again, one of my fondest memories, she said, "Kelly, when you were born, I put $1,000 away because I knew that you were going to have needs that other children didn't necessarily have, and that you were going to need, extra. So, and over time that's accumulated interest and become X amount. So if you like, the money is there for you to go to Europe, and that to me was just such an amazing to do that, especially knowing how hard she worked to put just the 3 of us through even just public school. So she's always been my source of inspiration for never letting my disability or anything else for that matter getting in the way. But on the other hand, she's also my mum.